Okay. Ringing in the new year 2020 here in Park City, Utah. I wanted to answer a few questions. And okay, let's get to it. The IEP doesn't address the health issues that then contribute to the grades. Technology is mentioned, but it's not written in as something that's required. I mean, so forth and so on. All right. We see that a lot with regards to accommodations. All right. And this is where it's also partly your responsibility as your child's advocate to make sure that when you have your IEP meeting, that you ensure that you address all aspects of your child's educational performance deficits. Okay. Now that is nationwide. This is strict. This is straight from the federal law, and so it applies to all 50 states. So parents need to understand what educational performance means. Okay. Because that's going to be your linchpin in order to have a good global IEP that services the whole child instead of some of the child. Most schools will sit there and they look at a situation, they go, well, we're an education environment, therefore we handle academics. No. There's the hidden curriculum, you see. And the hidden curriculum is that social emotional piece including behavior. That's an educational performance area. We also have communication. Children are talking all day long, or they're communicating. Those who are not verbal, let's say sign language, braille, those things are going on all the time. So communication is another area of educational performance. Then you have that piece of academics. Once your child hits 9th grade or 14 years old, then you add transition services. What they're going to do when they exit at 21 or 18, whenever they get a diploma. What are they going to do post secondary education? The entire mission statement for the IDEA is continuing education, independent living, and economic viability. Those are the reasons that Congress created the IDEA, and we fund it. It says that our children that require these services are going forward with some tangible goals in mind of economic viability, independent living, and continuing education. Okay, so when you look at it from that mission statement, then of course it covers those educational performance areas. The one area that I forgot to mention, depending on the impact of your child's disability, it could include functional skills, toileting, brushing their teeth, tying their shoes, getting dressed, any kind of self-help. Okay. Now, in your particular situation, you mentioned that sometimes your child has a difficulty even finding his glasses. Well, that's self-monitoring. That's a goal right there. It's self-regulation. That's there's so many areas to where that can be a goal, and then the resource teacher would be in charge of helping your child map out whether they have all of their books they need for homework. The simple checklist, but that can be a goal. Technology, if they've been using it, it needs to be written down. If your child has health issues that then need accommodation or services, then that needs to be written down. All right, because there's certain aspects of your child's IEP. You have the profile page, which explains your child, their strengths, their weaknesses, their deficits, the most recent evaluations. That information then turns into the goals. And we start with present level of performance. What is a baseline? Where's my child currently functioning? And then from that point is where you have to then design a goal in all of the educational performance areas where your child has a deficit that the IEP team needs to address. All right? So present level of performance, which is the baseline, tangible goal that your child can reasonably accomplish, and then the service. What will the child require with regards to intervention? Can that be a push-in service inside general education, or does your child need to be pulled out in order for them to receive the services to accomplish that goal we just created? Then after that, we got to determine whether your child requires related services, and related services are those services that relate over to the educational performance areas I just talked about. That could be occupational therapy, speech language therapy, psychological counseling, some medical, ABA therapy. Those kind of things are related services that relate over to assist with your child progressing and gaining skills in the educational performance deficits I just talked about. Okay? After that, you need to talk about supplemental aids and services, accommodations for testing, those kind of things. What does a child need there? And some of these things that you talked about, or in your question, there's the meat and potatoes of it right there, along with the goals and along with the services. And a lot of these things that you're talking about, if you go back to your team, knowledgeable of what you need to ask for and how you need to ask for them, and come prepared with those requests, a lot of the schools those aren't hard requests. They just aren't. And now I say that, I don't know which school district you're in. Some of them can be big pains in the patootie, ignorant, or just flat out obstinate. But that's my answer.